The Blancpain GT Sports Club main race set to get underway here at an increasingly sunny Silverstone. It's not the warmest day we've had here, it's not the sunniest, but it's improving and the threatened rain has largely stayed away. The cars are on track. It's going to be a 40-minute race. It'll be getting underway very shortly. The grid is formed. We'll have a look and make sure that there aren't any gaps on it very shortly because we have had one or two drivers doing other sessions with some problems over the course of the day. But John Minshaw, as the qualifying race winner, will start on pole. And this should be another spectacular race for a very diverse field of GT cars. And in terms of backgrounds and how many years people have been racing and what they've come from, that's pretty diverse as well. So it all lends to a very interesting race. And 40 minutes is a good duration for the amateur drivers to enjoy themselves at another fabulous circuit. They've already raced at Misano, where Daniele Perfetti was the winner of the main race and therefore came here as the championship leader. He is not racing in this series this weekend. Instead, he is doing the main GT series, so it leaves the way clear for Anthony Pons to have a go. Now let's go to the grid and join Dakota Jane.
Karim, starting P3, you're looking pretty confident. Now you're surrounded by Lamborghinis. What's the plan here?
Really at the start, just stick with them, to be honest, to slow the pace behind me so that people don't get too overexcited. It's going to be a long one. It's another 7 or 8 laps. So if I can just keep up with them and see what it is, I'll be very happy just to keep third place, to be honest.
You're not aiming for the win?
I'll try. But, you know, they're very good competitors and they're both very, very strong. So we'll see.
Let's see what you got. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Karim Ogier then on the grid. He will start third. And Dakota Jane, our reporter on the grid. David Addison trackside. And the grid is formed with the distinctive Demon Tweaked-backed Lamborghini of the company's owner John Minshaw on pole position and Cedric Limer alongside. They had a great battle in the earlier race. John Minshaw admitting that he worked his tyres a bit hard too soon. So let's see how he fares in this next race. On the second row, you've got Karim Ogier and then Nico van Dierendonk's Lamborghini. Then Anthony Pons, but missing Oliver Morley. Now, he crashed his Mercedes in the previous pre-qualifying session. 65, Alexis de Bernardi is there. Alongside him, 51, Christoph Ulrich. Then you've got 77, von Scheltemer. And alongside him is the Iron Cup class winning Steve Earle from earlier on in the day, the Iron Cup for the over 60s. Claudia de Frères is alongside Mark Thomas on the next row. Mark Thomas in 87 Mercedes, 488. With work to do, regular front runner here, Patrick van Gleberke, and 17 is the pseudonymed Coach McKenzie. 911 is Jürgen Hering's Porsche, and alongside him is Louis-Philippe Cernan. Then it is the car in the hands of Pier Feligioni, the Lamborghini Gallardo, alongside 66 Mercedes, the older Mercedes, that in the hands of Roberto Raineri, with the final full row being Howard Blanc and Claude-Yves Gosselin, who had a spin in race 1, and also in strife in the qualifying race was Pierre Hershey, who had a puncture, and his BMW Z4 is there at the back of the grid. Very experienced driver, Pierre Hershey. We'll see how he gets on in this next 40 minutes as he tries to work his way up from the back of the grid. So the field is going to be released shortly. And there on the outside of row 1 is 963, Cedric Limer's Lamborghini. He got up alongside John Minshaw but ran out of road over at Village, so dropped back, but he definitely took the fight. Let's see what he can do this time around. Grid is being cleared of all the final engineers and the marshals. It's a rolling start, so when they leave the line, they will be behind the pace car as it is, and when that peels off at the end of the lap and the race director Alain Adam gives the signal, we will go racing. One driver, one car, no pit stops, just a straight charge to the flag. And in fairness, the way that John Minshaw went in the qualifying race, he is going to be hard to beat. The gap on the grid, Oliver Morley's Mercedes, Oliver Morley had a spin coming out of Stowe Corner in the final few minutes of the previous session and did quite a bit of damage to the rear of the car. Drove it off, but it had suspension damage and it stopped on track and stopped by a red flag the qualifying session, the pre-qualifying session it was taking part in. So they've had to drag it back to the pit lane and then start work, and there's just not enough time. So I don't think you'll see that car at all in this race, sad to say. So the leading car sets off. The field, when released, will charge off to catch up to that, and it's the all Lamborghini front row. John Minshaw on pole position. Very experienced driver, John, in both modern GT and historic cars as well. He won the first 2 races of the British GT Championship this year at Alton Park on Easter Monday with co-driver Phil Keane. He was very unlucky not to win the championship last year. The British GT title went to the last round in with a chance of winning it, but ended up in the gravel bed, and that cost him the chance. But John an accomplished driver and very happy to win here earlier on in the day. Quite rare, actually, that you get the chance to race one of these cars on your own, because normally it's a double driver event, GT racing, but the GT Sports Club breaks that mould. John Minshaw, Cedric Lima, row 1, Karim Auger, Nico van Dierendonck, row 2. The third row of the grid is where you find Anthony Pons, but not Oliver Morley, and the fourth row is going to be the Ferrari of Alexis de Bernardi and the 458 alongside the similar car of Christoph Ulrich. Then von Scheltema's 458, Steve Earle's car lining up alongside from the Iron Cup. Klaus-Dieter Frers comes next, and then Mark Thomas with his Mercedes, run by the ACA ASP squad. Patrick Van Glebaker's Ferrari and Coach McKenzie with his Lamborghini Huracan are on the 7th row. Jürgen Hering and Louis-Philippe Cernan are on row 8, ahead of the Lamborghini in the hands of Pier Feligioni and Roberto Raineri's older Mercedes lining up alongside. And then you've got Howard Blank, Claude-Yves Gosselin and Pierre Hershey to round out the grid as the cars now work their way through Club Corner. The Mercedes of Roberto Raineri, you'll have seen, is the older SLS shape as against the newer AMG GT3s. There's one in the background, Mark Thomas coming into view. Anthony Pons likewise. So they wriggle around, they get warmth into the Pirelli rubber on which they all run, and then at the end of this lap we will go racing. So the earlier race for the grid formation for this, the results of the qualifying race, won impressively by John Minshaw, but it was not easy for him. He did have to work very hard to maintain the race lead all the way through. Cedric Lima gave a very good account of himself and was pushing hard all the way. In the 25 minutes earlier on, they got 12 laps in. So we'll see now how the cars fare over the course of this 40-minute race and how many laps that's going to put in. You heard the interview from the grid, Karim Auger, saying it's going to be much longer, another 7 or 8 laps potentially. And Patrick Van Glebaker, the man behind the Curbstone organisation, the track day company based at Paul Ricard, heads down Wellington Straight. Now they get themselves into that Noah's Ark 2x2 formation, and at the end of this lap the pace car as it is will peel in. We will go racing, and John Minshaw versus Cedric Lima, and I think Cedric, having spent 25 minutes staring at the back of John Minshaw's car, will be very keen to get ahead of it if he can. Nico van Dierendonck was a bit of a mystery in race 1 because he ran well early on, lost 3rd place, but then didn't fade away, stayed pretty much up with Karim Auger to the end. So can his Lamborghini match the pace of the top 2? Von Scheltema's Ferrari, you'll easily distinguish it's got the sort of shark's teeth at the front of it. Jürgen Hering in the sole Porsche on the grid. The older Mercedes, Roberto Raineri in the background. Pierre Hershey in the sole BMW Z4. Takes you back a bit to when those cars were hard to beat. And the 40-minute main race for the Blancpain GT Sports Club is about to get underway. The cars work their way now through Woodcote Corner. The start line midway down the pit straight. The lights go green, it's blast off, and John Minshaw from pole position tries to sprint away on the inside line. He takes Lima with him. In 3rd place it is going to be Van Dierendonck as they turn their way through Copse and now make the run up towards Maggots for the first time. But an excellent start John Minshaw and Cedric Lima have gone, and already they have gapped the opposition as they dive into the Beckett's S's. Karim Auger on the back of Nico van Dierendonck. In 4th place he is in the BMW, and then 5th Anthony Pons, who should be well placed in the championship come the end of the day. They don't race tomorrow. This is the last activity of the weekend as Steve Earle's Ferrari goes wide. That forces Klaus-Dieter Frers, number 3, to lift, and also Mark Thomas was caught up in that, so he had to back out of the move as well. The leaders come to the end of the hanger straight. Minshaw leading the way. Tucked up with him, Cedric Lima, experienced Lamborghini racer, loyal to the brand, as Steve Earle comes under attack again from Klaus-Dieter Frers, and their 488, Patrick Van Glebaker, is coming under attack from Jürgen Hering. Both those cars with a race number reflecting what they are. Ferrari 488 ahead of Porsche 911. Down towards the end of Vale, 65 turning through is Alexis de Bernardi's black and blue and yellow Ferrari, with von Scheltema about to gobble him up behind with the teeth at the front. He's over the curb on the exit of Club Corner, but not as wide as some, as they make the run now up towards the right-hander of Abbey and then left at Farm. Through turn 77, that's the Schalton the Ferrari, and Jürgen Hering up the inside of Mark Thomas there, and he's gone through. So out of all of this, it's Van Glebacker who is dropping back. Patrick Van Glebacker was a race winner last year, but he's really struggled today. First time this championship has been to Silverstone. It is new to some, but not all of the drivers, and Van Glebacker comes back at Mark Thomas there on the outside line, running up towards the loop. Is he going to be able to get up the inside of him? He tries. Does the Ferrari have the ability and the grunt to get alongside the Mercedes? No, the Mercedes booms away in a straight line as the leaders work their way to the end of Wellington Straight. That's the fight for third. Nico van Dierendonck versus Carrie Mauger then as they turn their way to Luffield. Up the inside goes Carrie Mauger in the BMW. Oh, no, you don't, says Nico van Dierendonck. Door closed, unlocked, unbolted, I dare say. But on the back of them now is Anthony Pons, upholding Mercedes honour in this. He comes through in 5th place. 6th behind him is 51 Christoph Ulrich in the best of the Ferraris at the moment. But it's a Lamborghini 1, 2, 3. Minshaw to Lima, 9/10 of a second. So the cars are up at Maggots, and John Minshaw doing his best to try to break away. The battle's on for third, isn't it, rather than for the lead, because there you've got Van Dierendonck fending off Carrie Mauger as they turn out of the Beckett's S's now. Van Dierendonck a bit wider than Mauger, who was way up the curve on the inside there. Silverstone, of course, these days also plays host to MotoGP, so the curb you have has to be flat enough not to be dangerous for bike racing. But that does mean it's easy to drive over in a car. Carrie Mauger to the inside line for 3rd place, coming into Stoke Corner. No way through there for him, so Van Dierendonck fends him off as they work their way out of the right-hander, down through Vale now. Behind in 5th place, trying to play catch-up is Anthony Pons, and he's almost there. Pons going better in this race than he was in the qualifying race earlier on in the day. Into Club Corner, wide up the curb there, look, goes 63 Van Dierendonck. He's lost touch with the two leaders. They are away and gone. Minshaw and Lima continuing their private duel from earlier on. It really needs a safety car or something to bring everybody else back into the mix, because John Minshaw, who knows his way around here and knows this car inside out as well, taking Cedric Lima with him, has built up a pretty healthy advantage. There, 3rd, Van Dierendonck, Mauger 4th. So it's Lamborghini 1, 2, 3, BMW 4, Mercedes 5 and Ferrari 6 at the moment. There are the two leaders, with Minshaw getting away on this lap, but we saw in the qualifying race it was a rather elasticated gap. Some laps it would be wide, some laps it would come down, even corner to corner it might change. So Cedric Lima trying to regroup and go after the leader. Carrie Mauger has a look to the inside, couldn't go through there. He did do the fastest lap of the race in the qualifying race earlier on, so he's got the pace, if only he can get past Nico van Dierendonck, who is putting up more of a defence this time around. The move that Mauger pulled at Stowe in the qualifying race was good, but relatively easy. And now, look, he's been reeled in by Anthony Pons in the Mercedes, who is right there behind him. So now Carrie Mauger has got to go defensive as they come over the timing line. That puts 2 laps in the book, with Cedric Lima bringing down the gap to the leading John Minshaw. He's just done a faster lap. 72 goes through, which is Anthony Pons making the run now up towards Maggots. Mauger trying every which way to get past Van Dierendonck, because he must be feeling he's being held up, and he knows he's got to get through quickly, otherwise Pons is going to be right there behind him, threatening for 4th place. Van Dierendonck a little bit wide as he makes the run now out of Beckett through Chapel Curve. Here comes Mauger, gets up the inside. Is he going to be able to make a run as they sprint now along Hanger Straight? He's on the outside line, so he's got to have an awful lot of bravery under braking to go right round the outside of Van Dierendonck, which he does. Fantastic! Carrie Mauger brakes as late as he dares, hustles the big BMW round the outside of the Lamborghini, and he has done it. 3rd place, great move, and here comes Pons for 4th. Looks to the inside, it's going to be close, it's going to be tight, they almost touch. Van Dierendonck goes wide over the curb. Anthony Pons is alongside him in the Mercedes. Van Dierendonck will have the quicker line. The Lamborghini does not have the momentum though, because round the outside goes Pons. He's taken 4th place, and Van Dierendonck loses 2 spots really in 2 corners. Through Abbey, up towards Farm goes Anthony Pons then, and Van Dierendonck, having lost the 2 places, might have lost a bit of heart out of all of that, because he's certainly dropped back, hasn't he, away from Mauger, and now he's losing touch with Pons as well. Now, up front, Lima quicker than Minshaw. There's the gap, and it's less to the eye, but Carrie Mauger, with clear track space ahead of him, having got through the traffic, now can set off in pursuit of the top 2. Let's see how he gets on here. There is 33, so John Minshaw turning his way up through Luffield Corner. He has got Cedric Lima tucked up behind. The top 2 go by with the gap being 0.4 of a second. And that last lap, Lima was quicker, but Karimojé is lapping faster than the pair of them. Now he has got to make up 5 seconds, but he is on a mission. Karimojé running third and hunting down the top 2 here. Through Beckett's they come. Minshaw leading, Lima second. This is how it has been almost all day long. It was just how the battle raged in the qualifying race. And again, Cedric Lima cannot quite find a way of getting himself up past John Minshaw, but it is not for the want of trying, that's for sure. Through they come, towards Stoke Corner again. So there you've got Minshaw there, tucked up behind is Lima. Cedric Lima, who made his name in the early days of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and that was when it was perhaps rather more aimed at the gentleman races than it is now, where you get a lot more of the young guns coming into it. So this championship suits him down to the ground, but he has lost none of his competitive spirit. And John Minshaw, second generation racer, Dad Allen was a very successful saloon car racer for much of the 1970s, 1980s, and John successful himself in historic cars as well as in modern GT racing. Knows Silverstone well from his many races here in British GT and the Silverstone Classic, for example, and he is hanging on to that lead. Karimojé, though, has gone quicker than the pair in the first sector, so the BMW behind, with clear real estate ahead of it, is catching. The 2 Lamborghinis howl their way now onto Wellington Straight with, again, Lima wide. He's done that quite a lot over the course of the day. It's not got to the point of attracting the attention of the officials for a track limits infringement, for example, but it's not the first time we've seen him do that, and now they work their way into Brooklands. Ogier losing out a little bit in the second sector of this lap, but that could be because the BMW likes the big grunty parts, not where it's tight and twisty, and of course the middle sector includes Village and the Loop. That's a tight and twisty section. Leaders through, approaching the end of the first quarter of the race. Over the timing line goes Minshaw. Through behind him, Cedric Lima. The gap is now 0.3 of a second. There is Karimojé. He's done the fastest lap of the race already, and he is 5 seconds back. He's lost ground, in fact, relatively on that lap. Pons runs 4th, 5th Van Dierendonck. There, 6th is Christoph Ulrich. 7th is there the Kessel Ferrari of Alexis de Bernardi. In 8th place, Fons Scheltema in his Ferrari with the teeth at the front of it. 9th and 10th, Steve Earle, and then Jürgen Hering. Steve Earle leading the Iron Cup. The 2 leaders hit Hanger Straight together again. So John Minshaw leads the way. He's 0.3 up on Cedric Lima. And they work their way into Stoke Corner now. The 2 of them running nose to tail. And they're about to drop down through Vale with Lima this lap looking the quicker. Now, is this part of a John Minshaw plan to look after his tyres, whereas Lima is working them hard? If tyres is an issue, as John was suggesting it could have been in the first race, but Lima is certainly on a mission. He looks for a tighter line out of club, but by doing so loses a length or so to the leading Lambo. They run together now up towards the right-hander at Abbey. And again, the Auto Vitesse Garage R Affolter entry in the hands of Cedric Lima chases the Barwell run Lamborghini. Mark Lemmer's team, Mark himself, no mean racer. John Minshaw, the man at the helm of it, as he turns right into Village. That was in the qualifying race, the one place that Lima got up alongside Minshaw, but there was just no way around him, and he ran a little bit deep into the corner and lost ground. So we know he can attack that, but it's got to be the right time and the right move. Down Wellington Straight they come now, still running together, the 2 leaders, and just look where Karimojé is. He's pressing on as best he can in 3rd place, and in fact this lap Ogier has done the best middle sector of anybody in the race thus far, so he's not given up, far from it. But John Minshaw controlling everything as he works his way down now through the right-hander of Luffield. Effectively now one long corner, but when it was first introduced, that section of the circuit, it was a right, a short straight and a right. But like an awful lot of Silverstone over the years, it has advanced, it's evolved, and the corner now a long looping right-hander. As over the timing line go the leaders, 4/10 between them. There's just no respite for John Minshaw. He may still be leading, but he's going to do this for another 29 minutes with the constant pressure of having Cedric Lima behind him. He cannot get away. Great battle between these 2. Lima waiting for the tiniest of mistakes. Coming now out of Chapel Curve onto the Hanger Straight. So John Minshaw leading the way. Cedric Lima runs 2nd, and they make the run now down towards Stoke Corner. Of course, the other threat to them could have been Oliver Morley, but he was the one non-starter, sadly, as the Black Falcon team now has to go about repairing the car for the main Blancpain GT Series race, in which Oliver is in the Pro-Am class for tomorrow. How the Ferrari battle's progressing. You've got there Ulrich ahead of de Bernardi, then Scheltema, And Steve Earle still leading the Iron Cup, ahead of main opposition Klaus-Dieter Freres. Patrick van Glebbeke has made a bit more progress in this race, considering where he started the qualifying race. He's in 11th. And we have a track limits flag now for 963 Cedric Lima. Remember, I was saying a little while ago that he'd run wide coming out of Aintree, not for the first time, and it hadn't yet attracted the attention of the officials. Well, it has now, because he's really doing it too much. Steve Earle, that I was mentioning a moment ago, as the leader of the Iron Cup, you're looking at there in the Kessel Racing Ferrari, keeping Jürgen Hering at bay. But we need to keep an eye on Lima because of this track limit situation. If he continues to run wide, he could be in real hot water. Steve Earle, the orthopaedic surgeon, the American driver, an absolutely delighted class winner earlier on in the day, a very proud American on the podium. And as he works his way up towards the loop, he came from Ferrari Challenge America into the what was then Blancpain Endurance Series, but he's another driver that's perhaps now rather more content with these two shorter races and all the other track time you get, because you're not sharing a car, so it's your track time, you're not having to divide it between three of you, and away from all the pressure of having pro drivers dotting around you. So Steve Earle, like quite a few on this grid, really enjoying himself in this championship. Karim Auger is another, for example, that's come from the main Blancpain series, and the leading gap has really shot up now. You're looking at what's going on outside the top 10, but it's 1.3 seconds between the two leading cars, as there up the inside is Claude-Yves Gosselin to put a place on Coach McKenzie. So the two Lamborghinis swap over. For Gosselin, it is a Gallardo. It's the Huracan for Coach McKenzie. The Gallardo Extenso RX to give it its full title. And Klaus-Dieter Freres there coming towards us. He's second in Iron Cup as he works his way out of Copse Corner. Klaus-Dieter Freres, who started off in historic races in Porsches, but has now turned to modern Ferraris. But he's got a lot of ground to make up against Steve Earle. He led on the last lap, in fact, in the qualifying race, but got mugged by Earle at the very end. But here, he's quite some way back. He's trying to fend off the Lamborghinis at the moment as the leading Lambos, and there you can see the gap and how it has opened up. Minshaw and Lima come into Club Corner together. We're on lap 7, 26 and a half minutes to go, not yet at the halfway point, but the real danger to Lima now is Karim Auger, because he's hunting them down. Auger has done a 2 minutes 4.0 as the best lap of the race, and what was 5 seconds to make up is down to 3.2 against Lima, so he could be on here for another place before the end of the race. Out of village go the two leaders. That's Anthony Pons' Mercedes running in 4th spot. So championship leader-elect here goes into the right-hander at village on his own, and not staying with Karim Auger, who is almost now within striking distance of the two leaders. John Minshaw finally is shaking off Cedric Lima. Now, how, if at all, does Lima pull back the lost time? It's not going to be easy for him, that's for certain. Working their way up now round Luffield. There, 963 is Cedric Lima in the almost anonymous gunmetal livery compared to the very distinctive green and red on the Demon Tweaks sponsored car of John Minshaw, Demon Tweaks, which for decades now has been one of the UK's leading race and rally equipment companies, started by John's father Alan, and the distinctive little character on the side of the car has been adorning many a race car for a long, long time. John Minshaw turning out of Copse, chased by Lima. Auger is third, and on that lap, 2 seconds now Karim Auger is adrift of Cedric Lima, so he's almost with them. Alexis de Bernardi goes through 7th in the very smart Kessel Racing run Ferrari out of Ronnie Kessel's stable. And he's chasing after 51, which is the AF Corsa car of Christoph Ulrich. There is de Bernardi, who's raced in not just this in the past, in previous seasons with decent results, but also in the European Ferrari Challenge. And he's chasing after Christoph Ulrich, who has been a regular in the 24-hour series before coming into the Blancpain GT Sports Club this year. And Auger has done another absolute best in the first sector. I just wonder whether, even if he got up with Lima and got past him, could he do anything about Minshaw? Because the BMW gets stronger and stronger as the weekend has gone on. Jürgen Hering, one of his 2 Porsches here. One for this, one for the 3-hour Blancpain race tomorrow, whereas Oliver Morley was trying to use the same car across both. And Jürgen Hering in 10th place, closing back up onto the tail of Steve Earle. Through Club Corner they will come now. There are benefits to drivers doing both this and, of course, the 3-hour race if you're an AM or a bronze driver, because you're getting more track time. And although there is pre-qualifying and qualifying, you are dividing that for the 3-hour race across your co-drivers, where here it's all for you. And so Jürgen Hering has benefited from doing lots of miles around Silverstone this weekend, paying dividends here as he's up behind Steve Earle, inching up onto the tail as there Coach McKenzie has got himself up past Mark Thomas, 14th and 15th this battle. They're making the run up towards the right-hander at Abbey now. So Mark Thomas trying to get himself up past the Lamborghini once more. Coach McKenzie, in turn, trying to close onto the back of Klaus-Dieter Frères, who is fading. Cluny Gosselin having got past him a lap ago. The leaders have gone by, and the gap is a second and a half, but Karim Ogier with another fastest lap of the race in the 2-minute threes. He's closing on Lima. He's almost with him now, so second is going to be the one to watch pretty soon, I reckon, as McKenzie hangs on to his 14th place. The background to how he's chosen Coach McKenzie as the pseudonym is not immediately apparent, but there are the three leaders together pretty much now. So Karim Ogier virtually up with Lima, and Lima in turn, I thought for a moment was getting back onto terms with Minshaw, but no, he's lost out fractionally within the first sector. Camera angle sort of foreshortened it for a moment, but no question about Ogier, he is really going for it now. The Boutsen-Gignon car closing all the time. It is the Thierry Boutsen element, Boutsen-Gignon, the ex-Grand Prix racer, and at the end of Vale, Cedric Lima. Is he going to be spurred on by having Ogier behind? Can he get a bit of a wriggle on and catch Minshaw, I wonder? Coming up now through the right-hander of Club. This is the short straight that takes you to Abbey. And there Ogier will turn his way through. His real chance of a win depends how quickly it takes him to get past Cedric Lima. And if that's going to be a long operation, it could be quite tough to then catch Minshaw, but we'll see, because we're not quite at halfway in this race. Karim Ogier has been the real storming driver. He's chipped away, he's got past Nico van Dierendonck and worked his way into third, and he's catching. And Cedric Lima's attention is about to shift as there, to the outside line of Klaus-Dieter Frères goes Coach McKenzie, but he runs out of road and has to slot in behind. Does that give Mark Thomas a chance of challenging as well? Let's see as they work their way through, and that's for second place at Brooklands. Cedric Lima under attack now from Karim Ogier. They get a chance to glimpse themselves on the big screen though as they go underneath it coming into Luffield, but all of this should help John Minshaw build the advantage as they accelerate now up towards the timing line. Minshaw through, then Lima, then Ogier. The gap second to third, 4/10, and Cedric Lima is on his last warning about track limits. 963 must respect track limits last warning is how it's phrased on the timing screen. So Cedric Lima busy defending from Karim Ogier, who has certainly got the pace. The BMW getting better and better as the race wears on. Now Cedric Lima is being looked at very closely for his driving standards here and how much of the runoff he's using. And Karim Ogier, irrespective of that, has had the pace to catch up to him. So is he going to be able to make the move? It was round the outside going into Stowe that he got third place. What can he do for second? Let's see. He's there. He's on the inside line. Karim Ogier, does he commit this time? I think he does as he breaks for Stowe corner, but no, Lima fends him off. Out of Stowe, the Lamborghini just snakes ever so slightly. Lima closing again. John Minshaw 1.4 seconds up the road as again Lima breaks late, but he was on the wrong line, I would concede there, so it was a bit scrappy. That's why he's up the curb, and that's why he's compromised into Club, and look, he doesn't accelerate out quite so well. So Minshaw gets away by another length or two, and Ogier is back up with him. It's really been coming out of Aintree where Lima has been abusing the track limit, so let's see what happens this time around. The Lamborghini accelerating now up towards Village, the second place car this is, coming under attack. And John Minshaw, is he being caught? Well, let's see, sector one fractionally, yes. Up the curb goes Lima. This should give Ogier a chance because he's got the momentum. Can he get the run on the way down Wellington Straight? Both of them run a little bit wide, but Karim Ogier comes out of the draft. He's going to commit to second place. He goes to the inside, he goes to the outside. Karim doing good racecraft here, but Cedric Lima fending him off, but he goes deep into Brooklands. Can Ogier squirt it up the inside? The answer is no. And at Luffield, let's see, is there going to be a gap on the inside? No, Cedric Lima fending him off, but all of this, music to the ears of John Minshaw because he should be able to build the lead. He's got the headlights on to warn the traffic of his progress. And John Minshaw goes through. Second still Lima, third Ogier. And Karim Ogier now is 0.291 of a second back. It's more a case of when, not if, he gets past Cedric Lima, surely. And Lima is wide, coming out of Copse. Together at Maggots. Again, Ogier tries every which way. There's a back marking, Howard Blank up the road as far as John Minshaw is concerned. Let's see how that pans out. Howard Blank, another from the Ferrari Challenge, who's come into Blancpain Endurance and now to this Gentleman Racer Series. Onto Hanger Straight he goes. Minshaw then the race leader. Lima behind him. They're coming up towards the end of sector 1, and as they break the beam, we will see now how the gap is first to second, because it has gone up fractionally as Ogier again looks to the inside, but to no avail. Howard Blank gets out of the way. Karim Ogier closes onto the tail of Lima again at the end of Vale. They've not yet found a way past the Ferrari then. They should be able to do that in a straight line, going past the Silverstone wing on the right-hand side, and Lima is going to be off the road again, look. All that speed carried into the corner, he runs wide, Ogier gets up the inside line, is he going to get second? It's oh so close. Lima fends him off, stays on the track as well. I thought for a moment he might have run wide there, but he survives it. So again, Karim Ogier has a real go, but he doesn't quite make it work. They turn their way now up through the right at Village, the left at the loop, and Karim Ogier hustling on behind Cedric Lima. And Cedric, in fairness, is doing a pretty decent job, but again, look, way wide, over the curve, over the white line. Karim Ogier following him now because he's matching his pace against the car ahead. So what happens for Lima with these repeated transgressions of track limits? We'll have to wait and see as Coach McKenzie comes up to have a go at Klaus-Dieter Frères for 13th place. The Ferrari accelerates out of club. 17 minutes on the clock now. The race leading John Minshaw has just gone across the line, still being chased by Lima, then third Ogier, who's dropped back ever so slightly to have a rethink. Coach McKenzie, Ronald Hurling to be fair, is on the back of Klaus-Dieter Frères, coming down now towards the right-hander at Village. Second and third, tied together. But up the road, John Minshaw now is 2 seconds clear. So their squabbling is delaying them. Were Ogier to get through, he might be able to do something about the leader. This is what I was mentioning a few laps back, that his chances of a win, as we're now into the final 16 minutes just about, are being affected by being stuck behind the second place car. And also now, look, he's got a flapping bonnet at the front, the left front of the front piece bodywork starting to peel upwards a little bit. Is that going to be a big handicap? If the wind gets under it and it starts to rip it up, it could get worse for Ogier and it could have pretty serious consequences. So keep an eye to that. You'll see it again in a moment as he accelerates and the wind gets under it. The bodywork flaps a little. There's another last warning for Cedric Lima about turn 10, which is coming out of the left-hander of Aintree. There's the leader though, John Minshaw. Take nothing away from John, driving an excellent race here. He is not putting wheels out of line, that's for certain. There behind him, Lima and Ogier. The gap was 2 seconds at the start of this lap. Has it come down a little bit? It has, hasn't it? Lima is hustling on again, so that's not 2 seconds to the eye anymore. Cedric Lima closing on the leader. And again, he's way wide. And again, following him is Karim Ogier. So at what point do the stewards start to take action against all of this? Cedric Lima is trying as hard as he can, but he's using too much of the road, you would think. There behind him is Ogier, the gap down again. And they work their way up through Luffield now. Number 2 BMW turning its way up the curb. Karim Ogier trying to shorten the lap as much as he can. Now, what about the gap between Minshaw and Lima? Because 2 seconds it looked as though around the lap it might have come down. And the answer to that is yes, it has. It's come down by 9/10 of a second. What's all this about? Has Minshaw got a problem? Because it's not Cedric Lima suddenly doing personal bests anywhere. So did John Minshaw have a slow sector? Lost a 10th in one, 6/10 in another, 2/10 in third. So it's all added up. But it means that certainly Lima and therefore Ogier much closer. John Minshaw presses on, comes now out of the left-hander of Chapel Curve onto the Hanger Straight, but you can see that Lima is almost back with him. So John Minshaw now having to respond to the threat behind, and what was 2 seconds at the start of the previous lap has come down and down and down, and now Lima has done a personal best in the first sector. He's all spurred on, and he's taken another 3/10 out. So I'm getting worried about John Minshaw's car here, or maybe it's the tyres again. But Lima has been able to bring down the gap and hustle on behind him. If those two do get themselves together, Karim Ogier might be able to take full advantage of it. Through they come, still running together second and third pretty much, although, having said that, Ogier falls away, doesn't he, coming out of club. So it now means, I would propose, that the gap between the leaders is less than it is second to third. There is John Minshaw. Now, can he respond? Cedric Lima throwing again everything at this. He's up the curb, he's braking as late as he dares. He can see the car ahead of him, and that's spurring him on. Karim Ogier is virtually with them as well. So the three leaders, fascinating race this, work their way out of Village. It's still Minshaw leading the way, but he goes wide this time. Lima almost sideways as the power kicks in, and there is Karim Ogier's BMW, the M6, in third place. He is the widest of the trio this time as he comes out of Aintree down Wellington Straight. In sector 1, Lima quicker than Minshaw. Sector 2, Lima quicker than Minshaw. And Lima has that slightly wider approach to Brooklands. So the two leading Lamborghinis, 13 minutes to run, turn their way now through Luffield, heading up towards the line. Very wide this time goes Cedric Lima, coming out of Luffield. John Minshaw doing it properly, staying within the track markers, comes through in the lead of the race by 0.597 of a second, but Cedric Lima closing all the while. Karim Ogier third, and there are more people behind them, but it's a very big gap before you get Anthony Pons. He's 13 seconds adrift. In fifth place, it's Nico van Dierendonk. Sixth, Christoph Ulrich. And so Cedric Lima closing again. He's really brave through the Beckett's S's, and so too is Karim Ogier, because the two of them there inch up onto the back of John Minshaw, who has still got over a quarter of the race to go and try and withstand all this pressure. Lima closing again onto the Hanger Straight. What are they going to do in the first sector? It is Lima who is the quicker of the two leading Lamborghinis. He's almost there, ready to strike. Karim Ogier closing as well. Down they come through Vale. This lap 14, so they're already, if you like, in uncharted territory. As Lima has a look to the inside, because they've done more laps now than they did in the first race. Of course, it's longer, so you'd expect that, but now, of course, they are into this extra bit of time, so they're starting now to do the part of the race that they never had to think about for tyre preservation in the qualifying race. And the three leaders together head up towards Abbey, with there Cedric Lima turning his way through, still having to defend from Ogier. And who've they got up the road? It's Roberto Ranieri in the Mercedes that they're going to have to negotiate. The older SLS Mercedes is there. To the inside goes Lima, to the outside goes Ogier. And Minshaw is now very definitely under attack as they work their way up into Village. And then the loop, and he almost went wide, the leader there. So, of course, now Lima is close. They get past the Mercedes. Wide. They all go. But Lima, again, is the widest of the three. A flash of the lights to say, get out of the way, or at least to try and distract John Minshaw, but I don't think John's going to fall for that ruse, as the three of them are as one. But Minshaw is not getting away. This is the significant point now. He had a 2-second advantage, and now we're back down to fractions of a second. And he is having to think about defending all the time as well now. So Lima up the curb on the outside of Luffield, hustles on behind John Minshaw. Over the timing line they come. Now the gap is 0.3 of a second. But where does Lima make the move? He's got Karim Ogier there, shadowing his every move. Karim Ogier is a savvy enough driver, possibly to just sit there and let the battle for the lead develop. No, he's not going to do that. He's going to hustle on himself. He had a look to the inside there. I thought he might let Lima make the move against Minshaw and then pick up the pieces, but oh no, he still has a feeling that he might be being held up. He has a look to get past Lima. But as soon as Lima defends, they're going to lose touch with Minshaw again. We have reports of a spin for number 17, which is Coach McKenzie. He's rotated and rejoined, we're being told. And we've had Roberto Ranieri into the pit lane in the Mercedes. The leaders then, with 10 minutes of the race to go as of now, work their way through Vale. Here comes Ogier up against Lima. Tries the outside and can't do it. So John Minshaw, amazingly enough, still soaks up the pressure. I don't think Demon Tweaks sells sponges necessarily, but there's one in the lead of the race soaking up the pressure, isn't there? Minshaw leading the way. Second is Lima. Third is Ogier. And then in fourth spot, Anthony Pons, wishing he could be part of this leading battle. So John Minshaw leads the way. 0.3 of a second it was starting this lap. In the first sector, he was a gnat quicker than Cedric Lima, but he's not getting away, is he? And here comes Ogier for a look to the inside. No, can't get up the inside of the Lamborghini. Lima, in fairness to him, is working oh so hard. He's always trying to attack, and he's also having to defend race long as well here, because Ogier is giving him a very tough time. 9 minutes on the clock. Down towards Brooklands they come. Turning their way through the left-hander. Lima trying to work out whether to attack or defend. Ogier trying to attack, and Minshaw having to defend like crazy. The three of them together. A great advert for the Blancpain GT Sports Club, this, because you've got three cars running together and any one of the three could yet win. Minshaw leading the way in the Lamborghini, Lima second in the Lamborghini, third Carrie Mauger in the BMW. Over the timing line, the top three covered by 0.8 of a second, as now they work their way through Copse Corner once again. Up now towards Maggots, and Lima defending his second place, and there you can see the bonnet flapping again on Carrie Mauger's car, because Lima has defended all the way through Copse and Maggots, so John Minshaw has escaped by a length. If only Carrie Mauger could get by, I reckon he might be able to do something about John Minshaw, but he cannot usurp Cedric Lima, so the Lamborghini still there second. Onto the hanger straight they come. There's a look to the outside line there by Carrie Mauger, but again Lima defends all the way to Stowe Corner. Carrie Mauger hard at work in the big BMW, tighter line through Stowe. Does that help get the run down to the end of Vale? Kind of. He closes, but not enough to have a go up the inside. So Lima now can concentrate on attacking Minshaw. But he's running out of options. He's running out of laps as well. He's had effectively over half an hour to get past him. Now he's only got 7.5 minutes. And if he hasn't done it by now, you kind of wonder whether it's doable. John Minshaw hanging on to the position. Then he leads the race. Cedric Lima hustles on behind him. Very rapidly through Farm they come. Their third is Carrie Mauger. So John Minshaw, having had 2 British GT wins already this year and a win earlier on today in the qualifying race in Blancpain GT Sports Club, is under attack now. Cedric Lima has a go to the inside line. Is he going to be able to do it there? No. But if he stays up with Minshaw, he might be able to make a move on the inside down towards Brooklyn. Stay in the slipstream. Leave it till the last minute and then dive up the inside is perhaps the plan. Let's see. Minshaw covers the inside line. Lima can't go to the outside, and the car twitches as he tries to work out where he ought to be aiming the car for the apex. He goes up towards Luffield with Auger closing fast. Cedric Lima turns his way into Luffield, sprints through the corner. He'll be wide up the curb again, and so is Minshaw ahead of him. Through they come, the 2 race leaders over the timing line now. Minshaw leading the way from Lima, half a second it is, and then 0.6 back is Carrie Mauger. 6.5 minutes on the clock and counting. Now it's getting a bit more desperate for Lima, it's getting a bit more desperate for Auger. Both want to make progress. Auger being thwarted by Lima, Lima being thwarted of course by Minshaw, but also by having to defend from the BMW behind him. That's taking up attention again. Through the Beckett's S's once more. Lima's so brave through there. He's back with Minshaw, but then because he runs a little bit wide, so the gap opens up. They're onto the hanger straight now for the 17th time. And there's a drive-through penalty being given to Cedric Lima, which will be converted to a 30-second penalty for track limit abuse. So Cedric Lima is attacking for the lead, but it's all academic because he ain't going to get there. And Carrie Mauger now is perhaps doubly frustrated because he's fighting against a car that's not really part of the leading battle as Lima closes, but he's had so many track limit warnings. He's now going to be given this time penalty, and so John Minshaw is... well, he could afford to let Lima go, couldn't he, really, and keep out of trouble. Now, is Barwell going to let that happen? Would Barwell as a team say, let him through, because that would then place Minshaw in jeopardy against Carrie Mauger. So he's got to fight either which way. They might as well keep a car between him and the opposition, if they can. Lima to the inside, he's done it, he makes his way through, but it's all academic, because unless he can pull out half a minute, he's not going to win the race. He might think, yeah, I've done it, but here comes Auger. This is a significant move. Carrie Mauger up the inside, and that's going to give him the race lead in real terms. Carrie Mauger goes through. They all run wide. Widest of all that time is Auger. But as they come down Wellington Straight, finally, they've cracked it. They've got past John Minshaw. It was a dive by Lima, and as that put John Minshaw off his stride a little bit, so up the inside and past him as well went Carrie Mauger. So this car, the leading Lamborghini, has a 30-second time penalty, and that is going to drop it down the order. So Carrie Mauger's BMW in real terms leads the race now. John Minshaw will perhaps regroup and see if he can get back past the BM as they come over the line. So Lima leads on the road, Auger second on the road, third Minshaw. That's also going to change, because where would 30 seconds put Cedric Lima? Well, we'll see in a moment when the rest of the pack has come over the line. The time penalty applied at the end of the race for Cedric Lima, and so he would end up, let's see, 5th, 6th, 7th he would be. So Cedric Lima leading on the road, but half a minute would drop him to 7th place. So Karim Auger in the BMW versus John Minshaw, who rather cheekily comes back at him there on the inside. There is fourth, Anthony Pons, making his way now down towards Stowe Corner, and Minshaw thinking about fighting back on the inside line for effectively the race lead, which he does. He's gone back through. There was a gap on the inside there. Karim Auger gave him racing room, and so John Minshaw back up on the inside, and therefore, by being ahead of Auger, leading the race once again. Ignore Lima because of the penalty, so John Minshaw has done it. He's got himself back up front. So Karim Auger is going to do it all over again. Up through Farm they come. And John Minshaw leads the race on corrected time. So a big frustration, of course, for Cedric Lima. In the Iron Cup, it's still Steve Earle from Klaus-Dieter Frères from Louis-Philippe Cernan as the leading cars work their way out of the loop once again. Now into Aintree. Minshaw it is, on corrected times, leading the race, even though he's doing it now by being second on the road. Karim Auger closing under braking. Cedric Lima, does he know about the penalty? If he does, he's really going to be annoyed that he can't eke out any more than just tenths over John Minshaw. If he doesn't, though, I wouldn't want to be the official that tells him at the end. John Minshaw, though, coming back at him. Interesting, this, isn't it? After losing time over a few laps, maybe that was all to do with tyres, and now he's let them have a breather. He can push harder again because he's got himself back past Auger, and look, he's got himself back onto the tail of Cedric Lima. And although a win is a win, you always want to do it by way of taking the checkered flag first, not just inheriting it. So John Minshaw is committed to the task, and he's almost back up alongside as they approach the Beckett's S's. He can't find a way through there, so John Minshaw hustling on. They will squeeze another lap out of it at the end of this as Minshaw now works his way towards the Hanger Straight once again. The race leading Cedric Lima with this time penalty hanging over him, therefore will drop down the order. John Minshaw will inherit the race lead, but he'd like to win this on the track as well as on corrected times. Down they come towards Stowe once more through the right-hander. Drop down through Vale. Minshaw wobbles a little bit there as he puts the power down and the car squirms. He corrects it, sorts himself out. Down to the end of Vale. It is still 3 for the lead as they turn now onto Club Corner on the power. So Cedric Lima and John Minshaw, who have probably never raced against each other before, have had some great battles over the course of the day. And on the road, Lima leads, but on corrected time, it's Minshaw ahead of Auger then. And they'll get another lap out of it at the end of this. Now they're approaching the part of the circuit where Lima dived past Minshaw. Can John repeat the compliment? No, but he's close, but he goes a bit deep, and that's going to give Karim Auger a chance to challenge, or is it? He was close at Village, but he drops back a little bit at the loop. He's up the curb. Minshaw covers that line and now sprints his way down towards Brooklands for the penultimate time. The two Lamborghinis running together. Karim Auger third, waiting to see what develops up the road. The last thing John Minshaw wants here is to get involved in contact that would cost him the race win, be it on the track or on the corrected time. So he's trying to find a way through, but equally he doesn't want to get himself in any incident, any strife that's going to compromise the run as he starts now the last lap of the race. Over the timing line they come. Lima leads the way. Minshaw's second, down towards Copse Corner. John Minshaw looking to the inside. Cedric Lima defends, as you would expect. Karim Auger thinking, go on, Tangle, let me through, but it's not happening that way for him. Up now they go towards the Beckett's S's once again, and John Minshaw has a look and can't get through there. Rides the curb on the inside. Now turning his way up through the Maggots-Beckett sequence. This is the Beckett's S's that brings you to Chapel Curve, and then onto the Hanger Straight for the last time. Race leaders through together, and Karim Auger, who has tried pretty much everything to get back onto terms, is there on the tail of Minshaw as they work their way now. We've also got repeated track limit warnings for Karim Auger. So is he going to end up with anything? Well, not convinced, because there's probably not enough time in the race left for him to transgress much more, but he's certainly being looked at for exceeding track limits as Minshaw closes again onto the back here of Cedric Lima at the end of Vale. Although this is targeted at what you might call the gentleman racer, this has been a fiercer race as you'll find anywhere. Some of the pro drivers I think will be taking note of this, because it has been a three-way fight for race honours, pretty much for at least half the race when Karim Ojé got up with them. And now he's attacking John Minshaw, and this again, remember, is significant because it's going to be either of those two that wins the race on corrected time. So Ojé needs to get past Minshaw if he can. There's no way Cedric Lima can pull out 30 seconds, and Minshaw goes wide. This is Ojé's chance. Can he get up the inside? No, he can't. John Minshaw ran wide but regroups. Karim Ojé is wide over the curb. He's got one opportunity now, really, that is to launch it up the inside coming into Brooklands. But John Minshaw is going to fend him off. Karim Ojé closing, under braking as they turn their way into the corner. They come now out of Luffield, making the run up towards the checkered flag. Cedric Lima is going to win on the road, but here is the real battle for the win. It's going to be just John Minshaw who fends off Karim Ojé as they come across the line. And the gap between them, 0.206 of a second. There is Anthony Pons, who will come through now to take third place in real terms. So he will head to the podium for third place. We'll get the corrected situation in due course. And then the Iron Cup, Steve Earle is going to take a second win. And there he is from Klaus-Dieter Freres and Louis-Philippe Cernan. It'll be the same top three there, but a different look to life in the overall contest. But that, an excellent race, a really good advert for the Blancpain GT Sports Club, a good entry, and excellent racing. So Steve Earle on target for a second win of the day in the Iron Cup, and to increase his lead in that championship as well, making his way now up towards the timing line. Through he comes, and it's 2 out of 2 at Silverstone for Steve Earle as he comes across the timing line now. And he was very, very happy earlier on in the day. He'll be even more so, I would have thought, now at the end of a very impressive run, making his way over the line. So John Minshaw has done it, not quite the way you always want to win a race, to inherit it, but equally, if somebody's breaking the regulations by running wide and exceeding track limits, then the penalty is perhaps inevitable. And so John Minshaw it is who takes a second victory of the day. The penalty in the end for Lima put him 5th. The gaps did open up a little bit more around the last couple of laps, so 5th place it was for him. And as the Lamborghini works its way up towards the Parc Fermé area, John Minshaw taking part in the races this weekend, partly because it's on home soil, but partly because next month there is a 3-hour round of British GT here, so it's useful mileage and useful data. It would be nice if we could see John doing a few more of these races, because he's certainly proved his speed, hasn't he? But I fear it'll be a one-off, just so he gets a bit more mileage under his belt, ready for the British GT 3-hour race here next month. But it was good while it lasted, his participation within the championship. And so John Minshaw now working his way down to Brooklands, from one-make Fiestas to historics to delectable GT cars, and successful across all of them, John Minshaw. And down the pit lane comes this great mix of cars, old and new, with the latest GT3 and some of the older cars as well on the track. So you apply the penalty for Cedric Lima. It confirms the win for John Minshaw from Karim Ojé, and then Anthony Pons 3rd. Nico van Dierendonck 4th ahead of Cedric Lima. Alexis de Bernardi 6th. Christoph Ulrich shown there as being 7th behind Lima, correct. Scheltema 8th. Van Glebecker 9th ahead of Jürgen Hering, Steve Earle and Claude-Yves Gosselin. 13th is where you find the Coach McKenzie Lamborghini after its spin ahead of Mark Thomas, and then Klaus-Dieter Freres, the second placed Iron Cup driver from Pierre Hergiat from the back of the grid. Pierre Felicioni from Louis-Philippe Cernan, who was also in the Iron Cup. Roberto Raineri and Howard Blanca lap down, and Oliver Morley, sad to say, never got to the grid because of the damage sustained earlier on in the day. So there is the Barwell Lamborghini, and John Minshaw clambers out of the car, puts his boot back on, and will very shortly head up towards the podium. Anthony Pons 3rd, championship leader, and also Karim Ojé having briefly led, but not being able to quite fend off John Minshaw. What will be interesting to know is whether John and Karim knew about the penalty for Cedric Lima, or whether that came as a shock at the end of the race. Were the teams able to get the news across? Well, a very happy John Minshaw goes to say thank you to Barwell. And also to occasional racer these days, Mauro Casadei there, who now represents Lamborghini and has raced in this series himself. There's Mark Lemmer, the patron. And it's all smiles in the Minshaw camp. It's all smiles for Steve Earle as well, taking a win. And the SRO officials say well done. Ronnie Kessel is there to say congratulations to him.
I can imagine, like 2 races in one day. And full power, huh?
Full power, 2 races in one day, says Ronnie Kessel. The orthopaedic surgeon then. A happy man, 2 out of 2.
Yeah, but you keep the title.
So the drivers will head to the podium shortly. We get an Iron Cup podium and of course an overall podium. But we need to hear from John Minshaw first. A double race winner, and he's in the pits with Dakota.
John, congratulations. 2 out of 2 for today. You've got to be happy with that.
Well, more than happy. I really didn't think I'd get the win this time round. I thought they'd learned a lot from the circuit in the first race, and I thought, well, if I got on the podium, I thought I might be quite lucky. But as it happened, I was obeying track limits, and the other guy wasn't. So he got the penalty.
That was some really good defending as well, right in the end.
Well, I had to do everything. I had to dig deep for that one. But no, I made a couple of mistakes, and I realised that I need to close the door, make it really hard. If he's going to get past, he's going to get past, but it's going to be hard.
As you said before, the door's closed. It's closed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Cedric Lima did learn in as much as he was perhaps more of a thorn in John's side in that race, but the point well made that if you don't obey the track limit regulation, what do you expect? There's Karim Ogier, who worked ever so hard for that. It wasn't a win for him, but I think he'd been pretty chuffed with what was a very good race. And the drivers will head up towards the podium very shortly indeed, with John Minshaw taking the win. Karim Ogier second, and then Anthony Pons, who was a long way back, taking 3rd place. He was a little bit closer at the end, 10 seconds adrift, but he'd lost a chunk of time early on. It does show the pace of some of the drivers, and Karim Ogier was one of them. Did the fastest lap of the race, led the race, ended up second.
Karim, congratulations. That was quite the race. You almost had it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a gentleman's race. He let me through once, and he was quick, and I didn't want to block him. So, we're trying to, I think, build respect amongst us so that when there is a faster car, please let us go. So that's what I'm trying to build here. And yeah, it was close, but I mean, Limer was very quick. At one point, I tried to pass him, but he obviously was defending, and I couldn't understand why he wasn't going after him. And finally, he put it on, but I think he was having a problem because his fronts were completely gone.
Oh dear. Well, congratulations. Thank you.
So, Karim Ogier will make his way to the podium shortly. Great representation of car, BMW, Lamborghini, Mercedes, Ferrari in the background. The Iron Cup largely all about Ferraris, I think I'm right in saying. And the drivers there will make their way up the steps to the podium very shortly. But the Blancpain GT Sports Club continues to go from strength to strength. Strong entries and very good racing indeed. Let's have a look at the best bits then of the main race here in the Blancpain GT Sports Club. First time the cars have been to Silverstone, and what a display they have put on. John Minshaw leading away from pole position through Copse Corner, trying to build the lead, which he did early on until Cedric Lima started to chip away at that. There were battles lower down as Mark Thomas fended off Patrick van Glabacker, who would end up in 9th place by the end. Karim Ogier, as in race 1, had to get rid of Nico van Dierendonk, and he chipped away to put himself into contention, and it was a brave pass round the outside going into Stowe Corner. Ogier through, and then he set off in pursuit of the opposition as Anthony Pons also made a move against Nico van Dierendonk, who was up the curb, and Anthony Pons had the momentum in the Mercedes to run round the outside and gain 4th place. That became 3rd after Lima got this 30-second penalty for repeated abuse of track limits. Other battles included Coach McKenzie and Klaus-Dieter Frères in the Ferrari, McKenzie in the green Lamborghini. Karim Ogier got himself up with Lima, they squabbled, and then they caught Minshaw as well. Ogier tried everywhere to get past Cedric Lima, the inside at Abbey. That didn't work out, and Jürgen Herring and Patrick van Glabacker got themselves together heading into Village. The Ferrari, the car that came off worst. McKenzie had that spin at Luffield that delayed him, and in the end, the Lamborghini driver fell down to 13th place. Lima did get past Minshaw, but by that stage, the penalty was applied, and so it was all rather academic. Minshaw dropped back briefly behind Karim Ogier, pushed and got past him, and therefore inherited the win on the corrected times. Minshaw and Ogier the top 2, with Cedric Lima taking 5th place. Podium is ready. The teams are ready beneath it, and so we will go to the podium as soon as the championship officials have all the drivers lined up. We've got Steve Earle there, the mustachioed American, discussing his race, and we also should have the Karim Ojai I can see there. In the white shirt nearest to us is Hugo de Silva from Blancpain. John Minshaw is there, and I think we're just about ready to go. So the SRO officials have the drivers ready, and so now Anthony Pons will step forward for 3rd place, puts the bottle of water down, zips up his overalls. It's all a ruse that to get somebody else to do it for you, I'm sure. Anthony Pons then for 3rd place onto the podium. Karim Ojai for 2nd place, the Mercedes 3rd, BMW 2nd, but Lamborghini victorious because it's 2 out of 2 here at Silverstone for John Minshaw. And I think now there is confusion as to who is on what step because there aren't any numbers here, but Karim Ojai I think has ended up on the 3rd step, hasn't he, rather than the 2nd. But John Minshaw is in the right place at the top. John Minshaw, the British national anthem played, British driver, British team, Italian car, and 2 out of 2 for John. The trophy comes from Hugo de Silva, but Anthony Pons gets the 3rd place trophy first of all, then Karim Ojai, the Saudi Arabian driver, and another win for John Minshaw, who receives the winner's trophy, and understandably is a very happy man indeed. They all get together on the top step of the podium for the regulation photographs. And the next stop will be Paul Ricard, where the cars are again in support of the Endurance Cup. And whether we have John Minshaw there, I rather doubt, in fairness, but he can make the most of today because it's a 2nd victory. And now they don't need the overalls again. They can spray the champagne. They can celebrate. Karim Ojai knows exactly where he's heading to with that. I suspect the SRO officials are those that have copped for that, but John Minshaw enjoying his race win. Anthony Pons with a podium finish that perhaps he wasn't expecting, given that he was some way back, but he inherits it, and he's happy with that. Karim Ojai returns with an empty bottle of fizz now, but John Minshaw is very pleased with life, having taken a race win and a hard victory, as he's about to explain to circuit commentator Alan Hyde there. Steve Earle gets ready to make his way out onto the podium, along with Klaus-Dieter Frères and Louis-Philippe Cernan as the 3rd place driver within the Iron Cup. So Silverstone has given us an excellent brace of races in the Blancpain GT Sports Club, and we will recognise the achievements of the Iron Cup drivers in a moment because they will make their way onto the podium. John Minshaw picks up trophy, heads off, and so Louis-Philippe Cernan, Klaus-Dieter Frères and Steve Earle, 3-2-1 in the Iron Cup, will be the next drivers that head to the podium here at Silverstone. There is Louis-Philippe for 2nd spot in the class. Klaus-Dieter Frères, not quite as close a fight between him and Steve Earle this time as it was in race 1, but Steve Earle, who was a very happy race 1 winner, qualifying race winner, is even more delighted 2nd time around, and doesn't it show? Steve Earle wins the main race in the Iron Cup here at Silverstone. For Steve Earle then, the American national anthem played, and Hugo de Silva from Blancpain will step forward in a moment to hand over the trophy there. Louis-Philippe Cernan, a 2nd, 3rd. For Klaus-Dieter Frères, it is a 2nd, 2nd, and for Steve Earle, it is a 2nd win, and of course his championship lead increases. So Steve Earle takes 2 from 2 in the Iron Cup. John Minshaw takes 2 out of 2 outright in the Blancpain GT Sports Club. We've had 2 excellent races here at Silverstone. We look forward to more of the same this season. For now, from the home of British motor racing, from David Addison, bye-bye.